Hey, Linda.
Hey, Matt, what's going on?
Oh, not much. How's it going out there?
It is in the low 80s here in Florida, a little overcast. Um, and I just came back from my very first in-person lecture since March of 2020.
No way. They're
It was,
letting people together now?
yes, yes. It was a fabulous meeting. There was some social distancing. There was some masks. There was not some masks, and the room was packed, and everybody was so happy just to be together.
I bet. I bet after, was this now 14 months of being apart?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just like, wow, wow.
Well, you said it was 80 there. It's going to be 82 here and sunny today.
Oh,
And we're supposed to be at 95 by Friday.
oh my God, that's hotter than here.
Yep, but it's a dry heat. It's a dry heat, and that's important. You all have that humidity stuff. We don't do the humidity out here.
Yeah, well, I'm okay with it. You know why? Because there's no snow.
Well, yeah, we don't get that either.
Yeah, I'll go anywhere, do anything as long as there's no snow. I'm just not a snow.
Oh yeah, you know, the first time I saw snowfall, I was in high school. Yeah, really. I was a river rat. We went out to the Colorado River, every other weekend in the summer. So I never saw the snowfall. So I was at a National Honor Band event back in Indianapolis, and it snowed. I was like, "What is this?" I know, pretty wild, huh?
Yeah.
So you had an in-person event. We have some news coming out of California.
Oh, what?
California's little wacky color tier system. It looks like LA County is going to hit the yellow tier, which is the least restrictive tier. That's going to happen probably in the next week or two. Our numbers are very, very low. And Disneyland is opening on Friday.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's all promising signs to this big June 15th date that they're going to fully open the economy again. So whatever that means, that is what's going on. So that's good news. That's all good signs for January.
That is such good news. I mean, I think so many people are just tired of not seeing their friends and stuff. So this is great. So
it is.
We have been working hard behind the scenes to get ready for Road at Home in May. And the classes are filling up. And if you're thinking about taking a class that has a kit, you really should register like now, because the registration will close for the kit classes first, so that the teachers have time to get their kits out to the students.
Yep, you need to hurry up. You have May 7th is the deadline for that. So you need to get on it and get on registering by May 7th, so you make sure you get that kit in time. And also, the really cool thing is, if you're taking classes without kits, you can keep registering. We're not going to close it down until the morning of class starts. Yeah. So as long as you have a fully stocked sewing room, sign up for those Road at Home classes. We're gonna get you going here.
Yeah, we've worked really hard to get you a nice selection of teachers, so that we're taking care of the folks that like modern, the folks that like traditional, paper piecing, traditional piecing, applique. We got something for everybody.
We do. So we have a Road at Home May teacher as our guest today, don't we?
We do. Amy Friend. And she comes to us from
that great white north, like way up there, right?
Yeah, that's what we. I'm getting to be Florida now. Up north. She's from up north.
Yeah, up where it's cold.
Like I should talk. Yeah. So, Amy, you ready for us?
Hi. Yeah, we just had snow flurries like a week ago.
Snow flurries?
Snow flurries on our daffodils. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
These are the things that happen in New England.
What
Right? Yeah.
temperature flux do you have?
We've still had nights in the 30s. And then I think the warmest it's gotten during the day is in the 70s, but today it's the 50s. So it's still, pretty chilly here.
That's pretty cold. Summer is not here yet.
No.
Not at all.
I like to garden, and I can't really do much of anything other than, cut down stuff from last year and get the leaves out. That's about it.
Well, I'll get ready. So let's talk a little bit about quilting. So when did you get started?
I got started quilting in about 2008 or 9. Before I was quilting, I was a museum curator. So that was really my passion. I love art. I love art history. I was an art history major. And I worked in museums taking care of their collections. So my last job was at the Wheaton Art College. Well, the Wheaton College in their art collection, sorry. And I took care of their collection, brought it out for the students to study. But by that time, I had a 3-year-old son and a newborn daughter, and balancing the working outside of the house with, what I wanted to be able to do with them at home was becoming challenging. So I stayed at home, but I wanted to still be doing something creative, and modern quilting was popping up. So over the next few years, I started, learning a little bit more about modern quilting and knowing that this was something that interested me. So by about 2008 or 9, I started my website, which is called During Quiet Time, because at the time I had 3 young children who all had quiet time in the afternoon, and that's when I started my business. They no longer have quiet time. Now my house is crazy because that was a while ago. So I've kind of specialized in modern quilting designs and paper piecing, also some fussy cutting and fabric selection, basically what kind of fabric to choose for your project for what kind of look you want to achieve. So those are my favorite things.
So your art history background really has lent itself well to you kind of maneuvering quilting and coming up with your own design works.
Yeah, and it really helps, I think, in explaining what is modern quilting. That's one of the lectures I'm going to be giving, actually, the modern quilting aesthetic, and using my quilts to help explain to people, the different elements of modern quilting. And I've heard from a lot of traditional quilters and traditional quilt guilds, they really liked that talk because it helped them get a better understanding of modern quilting and understanding the definitions of all the terms. So I think studying art history helped me with that, being able to explain that to other people.
I think that's a big mystery out there, right? For a lot of people who don't quite understand what is a modern quilt. I know there was a lot of, a definition had to be arrived at because there's a lot of different interpretations of what modern quilting is, what it was then, how it's evolved.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a very interesting topic to listen to.
Yeah, I enjoy speaking about it because I like to show, how I've interpreted modern quilting, starting with the Modern Quilt Guild's definition and working off of it.
So that lecture, the introduction to the modern quilting aesthetic, is actually on Saturday morning during Road at Home. So you all can sign up for that lecture. There's plenty of space available to learn a little bit about that modern quilting aesthetic and how to properly define. And I'm not sure, and this might be controversial to say that quilting is so personal and unique. I'm not so certain, there really is any specific ways. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think that's true. There are certain terms and they have actual definitions, but then how they're applied is very different and unique to each person. So I definitely want to talk about that. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the classes. You're teaching 2 classes, designing paper piece curves and beginner paper piecing. So let's talk a little bit about that.
To start with the beginner paper piecing, I would like to make everyone love paper piecing because that's my favorite thing. So this quilt behind me here is called Melon Ice, and it's a large scale paper piece project. And I've made it smaller for my beginning paper piece class because it's actually, I think, a lot easier to learn how to paper piece on smaller pieces that you can get your hands around because you're going to be flipping your paper and flipping your fabric. So we're working on a small runner size project. So you have to figure out how to best hold it here. And it's actually, it's quite easy to put together, and I go through all the steps nice and slowly. And what's nice too is that you're working at home, so you can make changes to your fabric selection. And I like to start talking a little bit about fabric selection in this talk as well. And I have different takes on that same pattern that I've done. And I'll share these. And so this is what I mean. It looks totally different if you focus on different aspects of the negative space, which is something we also talk about in modern quilting. So that one is really a great way to learn paper piecing so that you can try out some of my more challenging projects. So here's another. So you can see there's lots of different ways to blend those shapes together. And then the final one includes some fussy cutting, right? And I changed the shape of the direction of the pieces rather, so they made X's and O's instead of all circles. So there's so many ways you can attack this pattern, and we'll start by choosing those or sharing those, so that if you're a beginner paper piecer, this is perfect. You'll be able to sew a number of the blocks during class so that you have it down, and you can repeat those steps maybe the next day to kind of cement it in your brain. I think that's the most important thing to do with paper piecing. It's the repetition so that you get it down. But if you're a little bit more of an advanced paper piecer, I'm going to show so many different variations on this pattern that you're sure to find one that will keep you engaged, and you can just have fun sewing along with everyone.
So you could basically say your skill level for this is anybody.
Yeah, I've had people take the class before who knew all the basics of paper piecing, but they really enjoyed making a little bit more of a modern looking piece and like learning a little bit about how they could do that through their fabric selection or the placement of their blocks.
Does this class require any like special tools or gizmos, gadgets?
I'm not big on gizmos and gadgets, so it's a PDF download that will give you the full size pattern as well as the smaller foundation pieces, pattern pieces for this project. So you can do that as of the morning of the class. It uses very little yardage, so you should be able to find things in your stash. And like I mentioned, you can even swap things out during class. You can keep going and make it larger. You can make it smaller. So there's a lot of room for making it your own, whatever your comfort level is. You just need copy paper. You don't even need fancy foundation paper unless you would like it. And I don't use an add a quarter ruler either. So just a straight edge, a rotary cutter, sewing machine, just your real basics. A light box is helpful, but not necessary.
And just to confirm, these are all machine based. So this is really something that you don't have. It's all machine based. So that makes it really nice and easy.
Yeah. So it's not English paper piecing. It's foundation paper piecing.
Yeah. Right.
Awesome.
Now, what about the paper pieced curves?
So paper pieced curves, people say, why paper pieced curves when you can make them a million other ways? Well, the geek in me thinks it's really neat to be able to make a curve using just straight lines. So I think it's fun, and I like creating patterns that have lots of curves in them in my regular design. So like if you looked in my Etsy shop, for instance, or my website, you'll see I have lots of whimsical sort of designs like birds and flowers and things like that, and they're all involve curves that are paper pieced. So for this project, I walk you through a step, several different kinds of curves. Let's see, I'm trying to figure out how to hold this. So we make like this. I see this like gumdrop shaped curve. We make two-part curves, so you have to learn how to divide a rectangular block into sections. Here's like another type of curve. We have like a concave convex curve, all different types like this half parabola. So we go through different types of curves that you'll use a flexible ruler to create the curve, and then I show you how to draw your paper piece lines and how to number them. So you're creating your own unique foundation paper piece pattern. So I've had beginners in the class before who've also at the same time learned how to paper piece. So that's definitely a little bit more challenging. It'll take you longer to create that first block, but you're welcome to give it a try. If you're more advanced, you'll be able to move through and maybe sew more of them as we go. But my goal is that by the end of class, you'll have them all sketched so you can finish them if you don't have time. So here's another example of different curves that you use. So the pictures on the website are much better than holding these on a camera, but basically you're using these straight lines to create this curve, and I tell you how to do that so that you can know how to place them to get the curve nice and smooth and accurate looking. And then the challenge is playing with all of those blocks you've created to create an interesting modern layout, how to move from the negative space in one block to the negative space in the other block. We talk about terms like alternate grid work because we're using blocks of different sizes, and we're going to throw in a block of negative space. So we're using all those modern terms. And you can create this, it's a 18-inch mini quilt pillow cover, or you can continue on and make a larger quilt with it. But you'll have all the tools you need to design your own paper piece curves that you could then use in different kind of blocks as well. So that class does have a kit, and I have all the kits in stock right now. I can ship them same day. So if you want to sign up, there's just a few spots left in that class, and I'll get your kit right out.
Perfect. I think Jillian's going to actually take those pictures off the website and put them on here
Yeah,
right
Thank you.
now. All right, let's see. Here they go. All right, there they are.
Yeah, so there you can see. So when you get back, you can see how those curves look really nice and smooth, and how you can transition from the colored area to the white area in different ways. So there's some fun puzzling to do after you've created your blocks, and every piece is unique depending on the curves that you choose to piece, the way you draw them, the materials you choose. I do recommend solids or fabrics that read as solids and are high contrast for this particular project. But I have seen a few people pull off some large scale prints that look pretty good too.
Wow.
It's gorgeous.
That's awesome.
This is definitely a technical class. So for people who are looking to gain a new technical skill, this is a good one.
Perfect. Okay, so then let's talk a little bit about the fussy cutting in quilt design.
Yeah.
That lecture.
So I love fussy cutting. In my lecture, I talk about the different kinds of fabrics I stash, things like wood grains and text prints and lace prints and things like that, how much I buy of different kinds of fabrics for my stash. That's a question I get asked a lot. And this talk really relates to my first book, which is Intentional Piecing. You can see right there, it's from fussy cutting to foundation paper piecing. So a lot of my topics that I'll cover in the class are based on my paper piece designs, but they can be translated to all kinds of quilting. The most popular quilt I have in this book is the Tell Me a Story quilt. And like, for instance, each block tells its own story. So in this case, we have like a little raccoon on a hammock, and he's dreaming about his next meal. So around the outside, I have utensils. So it's a fun way to look at your stash. I've heard people comment after the lecture that they look at their fabric in a whole new way, which I think is really fun. Here we have a busy little bee, and she's flying through a flower garden. So they can be very simple stories, but they're fun blocks to make. And so that's just one way of fussy cutting, which is isolating images and telling a story. I also cover using selvages, using stripes, using text prints and incorporating them, different scale fabrics, even how to use border prints and things like that, and just highlight different projects I've done using all of those different approaches, and encourage you to just think about how you use your fabric and what look you're going for, even down to whether you want to try a gradient of solid fabrics versus using prints. And I show you a picture of a quilt that's done all in solids and one using textured solids to show the difference in softness versus clean, strong lines. And this is something I'm really passionate about, get a little bit geeky about, like all the different examples of how you can use your fabric in different ways to make your designs even better.
Well, it sounds like quite a lot of information they'll get out of that lecture.
Yeah, it is pretty packed. I have a lot of images to show, and I just keep going and talk fast like we do in the Boston area.
We know all about accents.
I don't believe I have a Boston accent, though. Hopefully you don't think so.
I actually don't pick up an accent. That's
I
good.
try to add all my R's at the ends. I made a point of it for a very long time.
I like telling people I'm from the Midwest, and some of them actually believe it. So
I
Oh,
meant to
perfect.
mention too, I should have mentioned that the Tell Me a Story blocks that I talk about in my fussy cutting lecture, I also run a swap using those blocks. It's really successful. We're about to start our 14th round of it. So just if someone saw that block, I saw a comment about it and thought that it looked like a lot of fun. One way to get involved is to sign up for one of my swaps where you make those blocks, you send them out to 9 different people and they all send you 2 blocks back so that you get a wide variety of fussy cuts for your quilt.
Wow, that would be that'd be quite an interesting looking quilt by the end of it.
Yeah, we do have certain guidelines that keep it all cohesive because I'm big on that. So all have to have like black inner triangles and they have to have low volume outside corners that have no color in them. I have strong guidelines. I've run a lot of swaps over the years, so I want people to get blocks that make them happy and that will all work in the final project. And we have people internationally join this swap, so it's really fun. People meet quilters from all over. And they say how much they enjoy getting happy mail and going to their mailbox and getting something other than bills and paperwork. So it's fun.
So you've published 3 books, right?
Right.
I think we've talked about one of them. What about the other 2?
Yeah. Let's see. I should have grabbed those. Let's see. The second one is improv paper piecing. So this one kind of falls in line a little bit with the designing paper piece curves class. It's, when I teach this class, it's similar in some ways. And basically it's a mishmash of the improv aesthetic with the paper piecing technique. It's something I came up with. So if improv paper piecing sounds strange, that's because it's like my technique, where you're sketching improvisationally, then repeating that block through paper piecing. And you have to figure out how to put those blocks into a quilt top layout that works and that's successful. And usually the best way to do that is a modern layout that involves negative space and alternate grid work and really figuring out, how to take these unusual, wonky, asymmetrical blocks and turn them into a successful design. So I love teaching that too. And it's really a technique-based book that teaches you how to use these same techniques that I use when designing my quilts, but it also provides you with all the patterns for the quilts.
Perfect.
The most recent book is this one, which is Petal and Stem, and it's 40 floral quilt blocks that mix and match, and they're all paper pieced. Here's a example of a quilt on the back, so you can see that like they have different flowers and different stems, and all of the layouts are set up so that you can choose whatever flower you want and whichever stem you want and pop them into the layouts so that they all work. Like you can pick, a 6-inch block here, a 6-inch by 12-inch block here, and they all fit into the layouts. They include a lot of things like alternate grid work and negative space, like I mentioned. So they're pretty quilts that are also modern. All of the block designs, the flower designs are a little bit asymmetrical, a little bit more natural, a little stylized. So what I was looking for was a book that was pretty, because I love pretty things, but also a little on the edgy modern side. And I was able to take all the photographs for all my books. So they'll all have like a New England feel to them. You'll see pictures with, stone walls and barns and flower gardens and things like that, which to me is important to have the books reflect me and the area I live in.
nice.
And they could buy those on your website, correct?
Yep. On my website, there's a link to my Etsy shop, and that's actually where I sell the books from. And you get a signed copy. I wrap it up nicely so it doesn't get dinged up in the mail.
There you go. You can get yourself a signed copy.
Yep.
And so are you excited about coming to Road at Home?
Yeah, and it's great that I don't have to fly all the way to California. So I think that's wonderful.
Are you ready? Go ahead.
I just saw the questions that English paper piecing or foundation paper piecing. All of the things I've talked about are foundation paper piecing, both the blocks in all of the books and in my classes.
Perfect. So are you ready to start traveling to guilds to do presentations again? Because those are going to start up here probably in the next 6 months.
Yeah, I think the first one I have scheduled is in October, but it's just to Connecticut, so not too far, and I'll still be driving. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, hopefully the numbers stay low.
Yeah, I have virtual things scheduled throughout the whole next year. So
awesome. Well, if anybody has any more questions for Amy, please drop them in the comments here before we let her go. I do appreciate your time coming on. I know with 3 kids, time is valuable, especially given the COVID and distance learning in schools and all that other fun stuff. So we really do appreciate your time coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So that is Amy Friend. You can register for her classes on our website, road2ca.com. She is teaching on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here, let me read the schedule real quick. On Friday, she's teaching F102, Designing Paper Pieced Curves. On Saturday, she has 2 lectures, SAL01, An Introduction to Modern Quilting Aesthetic, SAL03, Intentional Piecing, Using Fussy Cutting in Quilt Design, and then SU102, Beginner Paper Piecing. If you have any problems registering for these classes, you can email us at info@road2california.com or give us a call at 909-946-0020, and we would love to help you get registered. So, Amy, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and we'll let you get back to quilting.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Up next, we have Stevie doing a product review. So let's hold on real tight, and we'll get Stevie's pre-recorded product review here going, and then she'll be on to answer any questions.
Go. Hello, I'm Stevie Graves, coming to you from Leesburg, Virginia, where it's already in the 80s. I think spring just zipped on by faster than we knew, and now we're in summer already. And in Virginia, that means humidity. But today, I am going to show you some products from Cynthia Ellis, who lives in Dover, New Hampshire. When I was in Maine a few weeks ago, visiting my son, and well, actually I was visiting my grandson, but I checked to see how far Cynthia's house was from my son's house, and it was 20 minutes. So of course that meant I had to go visit her. And we had a delightful visit. I thought we'd be in and out of there in 20 minutes and 30 minutes maybe, but it was 2 hours later and Cynthia and I were still talking, but it was great. But Cynthia's first product is called Magnadots. And these are Magnadots, and they are magnetic. She designed those to put on the refrigerator to hang a pot holder, but soon realized, talking to quilters, that they would be great for changing your rotary blades. So if you're going to change your rotary blade, and I know this from being a teacher, you need to, when you change the blade, you take it apart in the exact order. So you don't just throw it down there. Okay, so I can use the Magnadot to pick up this old blade. I put it in my used container. It's nice and safe in there. And then I pick up my new blade, and I'm going to put that on there. Oh, I see there's some dirt in there. I should clean that out before I put the new blade in. That's the best cleaner, right? So, all right, I could just drop this down, but 2 of these Magnadots come in a set, and this is why. Whoops. You can see that there are 2 blades there. I only want 1. So, because they're packed with lubricant, so these are pretty old blades, so they're stickier than normal. So I'm going to put that down, and then I can use, I'm still holding it with the Magnadot, putting it down. I can use both of them to get rid of that. Now, one thing that I learned when putting on these is this little washer, which is in all rotary cutters. It cups up. So you remember cuppy uppy. And that's, I mean, I've remembered that for years. Put that, and then I put this down the way it came off so I don't have to decide which end it's supposed to be on. Okay, so there it is. Now, if I had fabric here, I would test it to make sure that it's not on too tight. That's one thing. Most people put their rotary blades on too tight, and then instead of cutting, the blade isn't revolving, it's just going in one spot. So you have to make sure that the blade is going around and around. All right, so the other product that I saw up at when I was visiting Cynthia is the Thread Hot Needle Threader. Now, Cynthia is a woodworker and does beautiful turned woods, as you could see on the magnet dots. But wait till you see this beauty. So I'm going to put this down like this. And then I'm going to use the base of it as a base for the needle threader. It also comes with this little gizmo, which has a magnet on the end, and that's so that you can pick your pins up if you have them on the floor, or you could tie a ribbon on it and put it on the drag it along the floor, and it'll pick up those pins that go flying off into the floor before the dog or the husband steps on them. So that's very, very handy. So what I'm going to do, you can see how this is made, that she's designed it so it's got like a teardrop shape on the top. That's so it's a little bit easier to get the needle threaded on there. Whoops, I gotta see. All right. So then if it doesn't go down easily, you can sort of squeeze the cheeks together and let it go. I stored my bobbin thread in there just because I could. And sometimes when you're traveling, if you put thread on a bobbin, it's easier to transport. Put it in the big hole, and then you pull this up. And there we are. We're threaded. So, and then if you're finished with it, you can put it back into your bottle for your Thread Hot Needle Threader. I'm sure that Jillian's will have the site where you can order these things, or hopefully you'll see Cynthia at a quilt show near you and look at her beauty. She has many, many products that are just absolutely gorgeous. So check out her website. Bye-bye.
Boy, they were cute.
They're very cute. The one thing I forgot to mention about the needle threader is if that wire in the needle threader breaks, Cynthia will replace it for you for free. But that, sometimes those little cheapy wire needle threaders, the wire pulls out. She showed me how she attaches that wire into that needle threader, and it's never coming out. I also had to laugh at my husband doing the photography on this, because had I been behind the camera, I would have realized how much of the clutter in my house was showing, including a box that says Graber Olive House. Now, teachers at Road to California get a little goodie bag, and Matt's grandmother started doing things that were local to the show, and one of the things is Graber Olives. And so we usually make a trip to Graber Olives, and they're very unique olives grown in the Ontario area. But I stuff those bags and I steal those boxes because they're great project boxes. So sorry, Matt. But no, I'm just absolutely in love with the Magnadots. I can see all kinds of. Sometimes I get pins stuck down between my sewing machine and the plexiglass surround.
Yeah.
And I can see using that Magnadot to pull those pins up instead of me sticking my finger underneath and trying to pop them up. So very excited about that project.
Yeah. And those I really liked with the rotary blade, because you don't know how many times, there's at least once a class every time I teach that you have to change somebody's blade.
Yes.
To put it correct. So that might be something would be nice for me to have.
Right.
Taking a class.
Well, and I did have a student one time that had 2 blades in her rotary cutter and could not understand why every cut she made, it was like channeling. And so she had this itty bitty tiny strip that was coming along with the block that she was cutting out. And I had never seen that. And then I finally realized what it was. So that's a brilliant solution without risking damaging your fingers.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice. So where are we going next?
Well, the 2 of us, we're probably going crazy, but I don't know where the show is going.
All right, so we have a giveaway that we're going to be doing here. We're giving away, I don't know, Stevie, what are we giving away?
We are giving away a thread hot needle threader in the jar with the extra little magnetic thing and a set of the Magnadots.
Perfect. So Jillian's got the giveaway link right there. She's going to drop it in the comments. Go ahead and enter to win a giveaway. So up next, we have a video of Sunday morning Road at Home classes, and then we have our last UFO for the graveyard. So, oh, Randy.
Yeah, my husband is a good sport with supporting me in my extraneous endeavors here.
And we're going to meet spouses soon.
Yes.
You are.
We're going to have a really special episode of It's So Road, and you will get to meet Matt's wife, my husband, Stevie's husband, who is the voice behind Road to California that you hear with the announcements.
Attention quilters.
Attention quilters. That's Randy. And you'll get to meet them, and you'll get to ask them questions, what it's like to live with us.
Oh, Lord. I don't know if anyone wants to know that. All right, Jillian, play the video before we get into trouble. All right, Linda, it's our last edition of the UFO Graveyard.
Wow. Some lucky person is going to win a class of their choice with me during Road at Home. And Matt is generously donating the kit fee. And all you had to do was send us a picture of one of your UFOs and listen to us critique it.
Yep. So we will be announcing the winner of that seat and kit on the next episode of It's So Road.
So
So that we'll do the drawing. But today we have one, and this is by Jill. And the UFO's name is Tiger Sashiko. And I don't think Tiger is the name of the cat either, but that's another story. She says, I started this in a peppercorn class at Road to California some years ago. I'm certainly going to finish it, but I'm having problems figuring out the borders. I want this to be a lap-size quilt, so I need to add at least 6 inches to each side. I'd like to fussy cut the tiger fabric so that there is a tiger at one point on each side in the outer border and sew it on the solid fabrics. My questions are, number one, which of the 3 border fabrics, green, gold, or black, should I use with the tiger? Number 2, which fabric should I use for the border, inner, middle, outside? Thank you. And sorry, as soon as I put the fabric down, my cat insisted on sitting on top and wouldn't move. On an aside, but my basset hound, whenever my wife puts any sort of fabric on the floor, my basset hound rolls on it.
yeah. I wonder how big the cat's head. I'm trying to compare the size of the tiger's cat's head. So you have some idea what the size is.
Well, the cat is Sylvester, not Tiger. And he thinks that everything's a toy. I think we're getting a lot of entertainment out of this cat.
Yeah. If I like to piece borders. I'm not a border person, but when I do borders, I don't like them solid. I like them pieced. So I might put maybe a strip. So you have a cornerstone and just a little strip on each side in diagonal corners. So it gives it a little different look. Or you could make them into half square triangles and put maybe 3 half square triangles on the top and going down the left side, and then put another 3 half square triangles on the going down the right side and then across the bottom. So kind of make L's on the corner, and then piece some of those, the black, the green, and the gold, and piece some of those into the rest of the border strip.
I could see that. I wonder, though, if with putting the fussy cutting the tigers on there, if that would get too busy. Maybe the tigers need the black background, and then you could stripe the black and the green off of there.
Yes, that's another option. That's another option. Those are circles on, look like applique on the half square triangles.
Yeah, it looks like that.
Maybe you could make a circle of the tigers, like fussy cut the tigers in a circle, and maybe bring that out to the border.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be fun. You could actually, depending on the color of the tigers, depending on what color you would do the circle out of.
Yeah. Yeah. There's an option for you. That's a big quilt. That's going to be a big quilt. That looks kind of small now, but that's going to be a big quilt if you want it lap size.
And 6, yeah, it is. Sylvester needs a quilt to cuddle with.
Yeah. So, well, since she says she wants to stitch it, so I'll go with her and say stitch it.
I think there's a lot of potential with this.
Yeah, and I definitely would not do solid straight borders. I would definitely do some kind of piecing or something in there.
Oh, the quilt is currently 36 inches square right now. So that'll make it 48. So that'll make it 4 foot by 4 foot. That's a good size quilt.
So clearly Jill knows something.
She must know something.
Yeah, Jill, is that your cat?
Yeah, I vote finish it. So, since this is the end of the UFO graveyard, Linda, I bet you don't know what's going to come up next.
No, I
Because I
don't.
haven't told you yet.
Uh-oh.
So, at the end of the It's So Road episode, starting probably after Road at Home May, but if we get more in sooner, we're going to do a Road to California completed class project gallery.
Oh.
Where your quilt can be featured on It's So Road as we talk about classes that you've taken at Road in prior years and show the quilt. And any funny stories you have to go along with them, we'll read them aloud with the quilt.
Ooh.
Oh, yes, it should be great.
Okay, and if you've been in any of my classes, I'm just going to deny everything.
Oh, that means we're going to believe everything you say. So that's a great time to throw Linda under the bus if you want. Perfect. Jillian, do we have anything else? Oh, it's my foster failure. Oh. Jill, it sounds like you have a kitty cat problem.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, everyone, thank you for watching. Next week, Jillian, do we know who's on next week? Next week is a mystery guest.
That means we ran out of friends this month.
Stay tuned to the Road newsletter. We'll be announcing the guests once they are confirmed. We have a comment, Jillian. Once that guest is confirmed, we will post it out on that newsletter. We will put together the Google form for you to put a picture of your class projects from Road to California previous years. So take a look out for that. We'll get that going. Until next time, keep wearing your masks, stay safe, get your vaccines, and we hope to be together in person very soon.
Yay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.